So yeah, so this one here, this is you and Ian and Steve and
Yeah,
Johnny
and
on
John.
drums.
Yeah, so that would be our first recording that we did. Um, but they are our first songs that primarily were written by me and Ian.
Yeah.
But Steve came into the band and brought some guitar ideas with him. The riff for Three Sparrows, the nice little sequences for Falling Snow, and there was another one that we did with him.
So the ones on here were Burn the Sky, Echo of an Echo, Missing You, Stay on Top, and The Star, and Falling Snow.
Three Sparrows, of course.
And Three Sparrows, of course, yeah. Of course, Three Seagulls, yeah.
Steve had these fragments of ideas, if you like, but between the three of us, we created a couple of extra songs, Three Sparrows, Falling Snow. Yeah, and then we took them and recorded them. Obviously, we gigged them a while before recording them, but that recording must be very early 1979 because, of course, by June, Phil had come back to the band. We must have done that recording quite early in 79. For a band back then, especially, to start gigging with 8 of our own songs, not only brave, I think, but also unusual.
Yeah.
Plus several kindred like covers. You know, we needed covers to bolster our set, but I have recently thought about our motivation for doing for wanting to do our own songs, because of course you have to realize that we've done covers bands, function type bands, we've done all that before, and we must have realized ourselves that all the things that bands rely on, like doing parties and Christmas gigs and New Year gigs, by going out writing our own material, we're not going to be that kind of band.
No.
Whereas a lot of bands would be making a bit extra money in the festive season, we realized obviously we wouldn't be, because people don't want to hear necessarily your original material at a Christmas party. But hey, we did it, so that we made our bed and we laid in it.
Better than ours, yeah. Actually, it's interesting. The two of the tracks on this album, 6 of them I don't think I ever heard you play live. So that was actually a question I was going to ask. How do you find the writing process is different now as it was then, or do you find that's not the case? Do you find you spend more time on today's, or do you have lots of different ideas and then jettison some of those and go with a final? Because I imagine early on you would have gone into a recording studio and you would have rehearsed the hell out of it, because it would have cost you money to lay those tracks down. You want to just do them in 1 or 2 takes if you possibly can. Whereas now that's not necessarily the case. So has that changed the way you write songs over the years?
No, but let's say the difference then to the difference right now. Let's forget the years in between.
Yeah.
But, the difference then being exactly what you said. Obviously, you rehearse the hell out of the songs before you take them into the studio, because every hour in there is money.
Yes.
The studio we did that tape in was basically Chris Ashman's cellar.
Yeah.
But he set it up reasonably. I don't know if you ever went down there,
Yes, I
Paul.
did. Yeah, once. Yeah.
In actual fact, it was probably a little bit overkill on the sound deadening. Um,
It's a very dead room, John.
maybe we'll cover that later. But I think, funnily enough, one of the problems, and I've mentioned it to Ian several times, with what we're doing now
Hmm.
and what we're doing then. We took those songs to record, but we'd been gigging them,
Yes.
and some of the rougher edges would have been knocked off them to a degree before we took them into the recording studio. But the difference now is, um, I think, certainly for me, I'm having to concentrate more on what would I be knocking off of this if we were doing it live. How would I be changing that? How would I introduce a different dynamic at this point, or would I introduce a different dynamic at this point in the song,
Yeah.
other than the one that we've already worked out? Because when you're performing them and when you're getting into the songs, into the lyrics, and the way the song progresses, by playing it over and over again, and certainly in a live situation,
Hmm.
uh, they evolve probably quite quickly. Some of the things that you don't, or I don't see immediately, or that it don't come so quickly, are those little dynamics, evolutions, little changes here and there. You think, oh yeah, well, if we did that, it's going to lift that next section of the song.
Yeah.
If we did something here, it'll lift that bit, and just make a little change that possibly a listener wouldn't notice
No.
straight off. That's a difference that I notice now.
Mm.
Uh, Ian and I were together last Saturday in the studio, and we both have a couple of things that in our album Back in the Game, if we could redo it, we'd change it. They're really small changes
Yeah.
because we are really happy with how Back in the Game album um, presents, but
Yeah.
just a few things that we know, yeah, we'd change that.
Yeah. Okay. So, and the reason I asked that question is because I think certainly it's hard to pick between one song and another, but I think my two favorite tracks on the new album are Black Sheep, which I really like the story behind that. The other one is Blood on My Hands, um, because the guitar and the synth and the way that that song is presented is just so different. It's almost prog. If you had been gigging that and recording it the way that you would have done traditionally, I don't think that song would have existed. I don't think it would have come out the way that it did because it's quite, I don't want to say adventurous, but it's quite different for your sound. And I love it. I think Ian's guitar work in particular is that's
Yeah,
on that track. I really love it. So
yeah,
I just wondered if it was because of the way you're recording these days, whether that was a different things had come out because of the way you're doing it. Hmm.
well, strangely enough, Blood on Your Hands came about in the lockdown. So the original writing process for that one was done via Zoom or WhatsApp.
Yeah. Okay.
And uh, it began, I'm pretty sure, the winter of 2019, probably November, December, and I had a really annoying, painful elbow. I could hardly move my arm, and no jokes there, please. And
Make playing bass very hard, I imagine.
yeah, yeah. And I was in the hospital at Margate.
Oh, okay.
The hospital at that time, it was virtually empty. And it was one of my best or favorite hospital experience, really. But anyway, I was in the waiting room, sat all on my own, and seeing these nurses and staff walking around, and I was just thinking to myself, yeah, you're all smiling and happy, you lot, but you got blood on your hands, haven't you? I was just thinking about this, and so the idea for the song came to my head. Started writing a few lyrics on my phone,
Right.
whilst I was, and it evolved into the lyric that you hear. Nothing to do with hospitals and nurses. It's just the idea came, and I had an idea for the basic verses. So when I got home, literally contacted Ian, and he said, yeah, I like the sound of that. My verses, the verse parts, and the way the vocals sounded. He said, you know, I've got a little bit that may well make the chorus or the link or the bridge, you know. And that's how it started. That's how it began. Now, I do recall along the way, you may have noticed, Paul, in there, there's not only bass, but I did say to Ian, this has got to be evil. And to get that evil, we need a mono synth in there.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why there's a mono synth in there, reinforcing the bass and getting that sort of bubbly, growly bass sound.
Yeah.
However, I had no idea that Ian was going to pull those guitar parts out of the hat.
Yeah.
And that sound, it sounds like some maniacal woman laughing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's very not Denigh. It's inspired. It's great. Yeah.
I'm really pleased you like that song, because it's also one of our favourites too. And yeah, I guess it's nice to have that little backstory about it too, about how it came about.
Yeah. If it had been 20 years ago, you probably wouldn't have written it like that. Which is, yeah, it's indicative of how the music industry's kind of changed too. So it's all in service of the song, which is the important thing. I think Atticus Ross of Nine Inch Nails says they just give the song whatever it needs. It kind of has a life of its own, and of all the tracks on the new album, that seems to be a good example of that. That the song needed a different treatment, and it got it, which is really great. Yeah, that's a really good thing. So,
yeah, thanks, Paul. Obviously, we've got some surprises as well for the next album. Prior to the release of Back in the Game, obviously Ian and I were a little not worried, not concerned, but we knew ourselves that we're not doing new wave of British heavy metal. We're writing songs that we want to write. What's coming out of us.
yeah,
And we wondered, well, how well is Back in the Game album going to be received? And it's been received really well, and we're so pleased about that.
yeah.
The fact our music, no matter what, to a degree, no matter what we're doing, it's working. But I think the new album, for which we're still working. We still don't have a title for. Yes, we've got a couple of revisited tracks from the old days. Mean Streak is definitely on there, I can tell you that one. But the rest of the tracks are all new, and we're hoping that it will surpass Back in the Game. There's a little bit of heavy in there, but it's what we are now.
Yeah. And you can only be what you are now.
We come up with a few songs from the past when Ian and I are together.
Yeah.
Possibles for revisiting, and we got one or two irons in the fire at the moment. We've had absolutely no feedback about This Place Can't Be Beat.
Is that because it's the bonus track and people are mostly listening to it on Spotify and stuff?
Well, they won't be, will they? Because it's only on the CD.
But it's only on air, hence the bonus track. Oh, I'm going to show you the reverse writing on that again. So,
yes, we have released Bed of Nails.
Yes, it's on there. Yeah.
But This Place Can't Be Beat.
So that reminded me of Dave Gilmour. I think he had a solo album called Living on an Island or something like that. And it's got a similar vibe. I'm not suggesting that they're the same song or anything like that. I'm just saying it's got that kind of island life kind of vibe about it.
Right.
Yeah. Did you write that about anywhere specifically, or?
May have done.
Right.
That was written in Greece.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, and that's the feel that it has. Because I think Living on an Island, I'm pretty sure it was Greece. And it must be indicative of the area for it to have a similar sort of feel. It's really weird.
Maybe, obviously, we recognise that it is a complete departure from what somebody might expect from me and Ian to write.
Yeah.
But
it's an interesting song.
It's what came to
him. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Mm.
Let's not. Okay. I started the ball rolling with it and had this idea, but actually, we ran through quite a few variations of it.
Right.
Before, actually completely without me being aware that it was going to happen. Ian sprung that one on me. And we got another, I can't say similar surprise on the new album, because it really isn't similar, but we've got another surprise track for the new album as well.
I can't wait for that.
It's in the can ready. I think the only thing we've got to do is Ian bought a fabulous new keyboard, and we need a certain type of piano sound, and this machine that he's bought, this keyboard, has got it.